I catfished my ex-best friend and teacher at the same time for revenge. It was my junior year in high school and I struggled with depression pretty bad. My parents were crap parents. They didn't really care about how I felt or if I was fed, anything like that. They shouldn't have been my parents, but anyways, that's just the story behind my depression. So my grades started struggling and I explained to all of my teachers and they were understanding and gave me more time on my assignment. But there was the toughest teacher in school, Mr. Crawford. He was my psychology teacher. I asked him if I could have some more time off and he declined. My grade dropped from a C to an F within some time. I was so mad, but I brushed it off. I was sad all the time. My ex-best friend claimed she didn't want to be friends with me anymore because I was too depressed. I asked her if we could take a break until I get better because I understood that emotional baggage could be a lot for someone. She just said no and gave up. She said that I was a fat, ugly, depressive bum who was never going to be anything in life. I was so depressed after that and cried myself to sleep every night. I couldn't believe someone who was my best friend did that. So I thought of the most evil plan. I remember she had a huge crush on a guy who was a close friend of mine and was going to use that to my advantage. And you will not believe what I did. I decided I was going to be the boy of her dreams, form a relationship with her, then meet up with her to confront her. She's always been into Asian boys, so I had this cute Asian friend on Discord who was a good friend of mine, who rejected her in the past. I explained my situation to him and he agreed to help. He let me log into his Instagram account and hit her up. She was questioning why I hit her up after he rejected her, and I typed in that he didn't realize what he was missing. I gave her a crap ton of compliments. I said how I liked her thick black eyeliner, black hair, pale skin, and blue eyes. That she was the perfect alt girl. We continuously kept flirting with each other and we even sexted each other at some point and even roleplayed. Pretty sure she was doing gross things and I cringed to it, but I didn't care. This was all a part of my plan. She sent me some of her nudes, but I didn't want to send mine because I didn't want to do that to my friend and also because that's weird. I didn't want to see his drunk either. I complimented her body even though I thought it was disgusting. She asked if I wanted to call and I said that my mic wasn't working on call and that I could send voice memos. I had my friend log back into his account and send voice memos while telling him what to say. I would say she was pretty convinced. Then, another idea hit me. Why don't I catfish my teacher as well? For karma. You will not believe what happened next. So I made a profile of a white girl who was a brunette with big boobs and green eyes. He seemed like the type of teacher to be into that. I found his Facebook and sent a friend request. He surprisingly accepted and messaged me first saying, "Hello, cutie." My profile looked pretty realistic, thanks to Photoshop. I sent friend requests to 1,000 people beforehand and 500 accepted. Me and him started flirting and even sexting from time to time. He took inappropriate pictures and I googled some, photoshopped them to look like the girl and sent them as well. He asked to video call, but I said I was an entrepreneur and too busy to video call. Over the span of 3 weeks, I strengthened my fake relationships with my ex-best friend and Mr. Crawford. Then I got another idea. I want to make the both of them meet up in the same place, so I contacted both of them saying to meet up at Starbucks. Mr. Crawford was down and my ex-bestie was a little hesitant, but I sent a voice memo swooning her and she agreed. I told them both to meet me at booth chairs at 5 p.m. on a Tuesday and they agreed. They saw each other and they looked like they were arguing and my ex-bestie ran out. Next day I went to school. Apparently Mr. Crawford was fired and my ex-bestie was suspended for 3 weeks. They both got what they deserved and I was happy. It's been 3 years and I'm in a better place. To this day they never knew it was me. I broke up my best friend and her boyfriend out of jealousy. So I've been best friends with Brittany my whole life and I've always been compared to her. I was a nerdy redhead and she was a beautiful blonde with a perfect body. She was the prettiest girl in my class and I was jealous, but she was a good person. So, when we were in high school, I got a little pretty, but she got prettier and we expanded our friend group. We had 2 friends, Selena and Janaya. Selena was gorgeous and Janaya as well, so I was the ugly duff in this friendship. One day, there was this new kid who just transferred and he was so cute. His name was Aaron. He has blue eyes, blonde hair, and tan skin. He had abs and he was tall. He had the same class with me, so I ended up talking to him first and we became friends. I started to genuinely like him. It was obvious I liked him, but never stated it. Then Brittany started flirting with him in front of me and they managed to get together somehow. I figured I could become best friends with Aaron and swoon him my way, so I brought up the idea to Brittany of being best friends and she didn't have a problem with it. So I got Aaron's snap and I made sure we snapped every day. And you will not believe what we sent each other on Snapchat. Some flirty pictures and he would as well. I sent a pic in a lower cut shirt and he sent a pic shirtless. We would hang out by ourselves sometimes and play fight. I asked him why he's dating Brittany. He said because she's hot. But I asked him if he genuinely liked her. He paused, then said yeah. I didn't believe him. One day I went over to Brittany's house to hang and Brittany was talking about an exposed page and laughing at some girls she didn't like. Their blanks were up and some off-guard funny photos. Then she took blank pictures in front of us and sent them to Aaron. Then he sent some back. She showed us, but I looked away out of respect. I was jealous. Her pictures looked good. But then I got the perfect idea again. This would for sure break them up. So one day I asked Aaron if we could share fingerprints with each other, as a best friend thing, and we did. I asked him if he did it with anyone else, and he said a couple of his guy friends. I waited until a week, and I went to one of his soccer games, and he had to take a shower. So I walked with him to his house and waited for him to shower to look through his phone. I airdropped both of their blank photos to my phone, and then I took screenshots of their conversation with them flirting and such, and airdropped those as well. I set his phone down, and he came back, and then we continued to hang. He said he trusted me, and I was happy. I had a chance with him. Then I went home, and you will not believe what I did. I photoshopped the flirting text to make it look like someone else was flirting with him. I made the name Victoria with some heart emojis. I then waited a week, and Brittany and Aaron were having some issues actually. This was my perfect moment. I made a fake account and I contacted the exposed page saying I have some juicy things. I sent out Aaron's blanks, Brittany's blanks, and the fake text messages I photoshopped. I then logged out of the account and deleted it completely from my phone. I ended up getting a call from Brittany and she was freaking out. The girls were on call too. She was crying and saying he exposed her. Then Aaron called me and I put Brittany on hold. Aaron was mad because he thought Brittany exposed his blanks and he said this sucked. They both suspected me at some point, but I showed them that the only Instagram account I have is mine. I promised them I didn't do it, and they bought it. They ended up breaking up and this was finally my chance. So I asked Aaron out and he accepted. I told Brittany and she didn't like it, so she cut me off and I stayed with him. I actually gained some new friends and felt like myself. I know that what I did was wrong, but I got the boy I wanted and finally felt comfortable for once. Me and Aaron had been together 2 years strong and they don't know I was the cause of their breakup till this day. My boyfriend took $10,000 from me and used some of it for his side hoe's abortion. Let's call my ex Jameer. So Jameer was one of the cool kids in school, he was popular and stuff, and the ladies were all over him. I was well known, but I wasn't popular or the prettiest girl ever. One day he walked up to me and asked if he could get my number. I said why, because I was a little sketched out. But he said that I was different, stood out from the others, and he had this unique attraction to me. I'm not gonna lie, that boosted my ego a little bit, so I accepted and gave my number to him. The date went pretty well, except his phone was buzzing a lot. I asked him who it was, and he said he was in a group chat with his friends and apologized. I knew he was lying. He took me home and he tried to kiss me, but I pushed him away and said thank you. The next day at school, he tried talking to me, but I ignored him. This lasted for a week until he texted me and asked me, "Why are you ignoring me?" And I simply told him I'm not the type of girl to be with someone who has a lot of hoes on the side. I like to be with someone who's loyal to me and exclusive. He said, "Okay, bet, I'm down." What he ended up doing next was shocking and unbelievable. You will not believe what happened next. So we ended up sending screen recordings of all his hoes being blocked on Snapchat, and I was pretty happy with it. The whole school knew we were dating. Girls always talked smack about me, but I didn't care. 2 years flash forward, we've been together and we moved into our own place. We graduated and everything's been chill. I work as a nail tech, hair tech, and makeup artist, so I make quite a lot of money. At least $5K a week. I would buy him shoes, clothes, take us out to eat, etc. He had his own job and stuff, so he would do the same for me as much as he possibly could. I kept some money in a little piggy bank in our room, and most of my money in a bank account where I would have to go in person to get money. One day I woke up to a bunch of buzzing on his phone, so I took his phone while he was sleeping, unlocked it with his thumbprint, and looked through it. There were 10 plus girls he was blanking, sending blanks to, flirting with, etc. I woke him up and slapped him and told him to get out. I told him if he was here by the time he'd get back, I'd kill him. So I left, I drove out, and got a bat just in case he was there and tried to pull something, and went back home. He was gone. I cried myself to sleep that night. The next day, clients came back and I worked as I usually did. Then I wanted to take myself out for a spa day, so I checked my piggy bank and 10K was gone. I panicked and then called my ex. I demanded my money back and he said he'll give it back when he wanted to. I hung up the phone and called my homegirl to see what she wanted to do. She reminded me that I had an app that tracked his phone and he forgot I didn't have it anymore. He was at Planned Parenthood and I was like, why is he at Planned Parenthood? Does he have an STD I don't know about? Did he contract it from one of these girls? I don't know why, but I was gonna confront him anyways. I ended up driving to where he was and saw some girl getting into his car. I walked up to his car and ended up banging the windows, screaming, "Where's my 10K at?" The girl got out the car screaming at me, and I asked her what she was doing here, because the 10K he owed me was in his bank account. And she cried and claimed that she just got an abortion that he paid for and wanted to leave in peace with him. So he paid for one of his side hoes' abortions. I ended up leaving and driving off and never spoke to him again. I never got my 10K back, but I felt bad for him since he was on the wrong track. Follow for more story times. He gave me a life-killing STD without me knowing. I met this guy, let's call him Jody, in college. We both majored in criminal justice and we had a project to do together. The teacher assigned us and we agreed to meet up at Chili's. We had lunch and we did the project at the same time. He was really friendly with me and I just started to realize he was flirting. I'm a straightforward person, so I just asked, "Are you flirting with me?" And he said he was. We decided to talk more and we exchanged numbers. From there on out, we went on dates regularly and flirted. One day, we were sitting at his place and he started touching my thigh a certain way. And we started making out. Then he started to take his belt off and I pushed him off and I asked him what he was doing. He said, "Aren't we about to, you know?" I said no. I usually wait to do anything until I'm in an official relationship. He said, "Oh, okay, that's cool." We then just watched a movie and chilled. A week later, he asked me to be his girlfriend and I said okay. He was pretty great. He would sing me songs, buy me little goodie bags, write me letters, etc. He was thoughtful. He pressured me a couple of times to have sex, but I just wasn't ready. Flash forward, it's been 5 months and I think I was ready. One day, he brought me to his place and there were roses on the bed. He told me to go take a bath and get relaxed before we do it. After I finished, we had sex, unprotected. I was so in the moment that I didn't realize. Afterwards, we did it every day, nonstop. Some days I didn't want to, but he pressured me. Then one day, I got off work early and I wanted to surprise him. I got him his favorite candy and went to his apartment and unlocked it since I had a copy of the key. I opened the door and heard loud moaning. I barged into his bedroom and he was sleeping with my friend. I looked in shock and dropped the candy. Sorry, you couldn't give me what I was wanting this whole time, even after waiting, he said. I ran out of the room and cried. I went home and blocked him on everything. I was heartbroken for 2 months. During this time period, my best friend was there for me. One day I felt sick. I had a fever, chills, and a sore throat. I downed some NyQuil thinking I had a cold or the flu. I couldn't miss school, so I just worked through the sickness. Next thing you know, I woke up in a hospital bed with my best friend next to me. She scolded me and told me I should have gone to the doctors. I said thank you for bringing me and wanted to leave immediately. The doctor told me I should lay down and test myself before I go. They drew some of my blood and took urine samples. The doctor came in and told me I was positive for HIV. I wanted to tell him, but I didn't. Hopefully those girls will be smarter than I was.